the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. Businessman there, drink my wine. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network at WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, AM, FM 24/7. And joining me today as my co-host is the patriot from the Hoosier State. That's the state of Indiana to everyone else outside of Indiana. My very good friend, J.D. Muneer. J.D., welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show.
As always, it's great to be with you, Rick.
Great to have you with us, J.D., one more time. And we're sitting in today for Anna Little, who is taking a very well-earned vacation in our angle, and Sharon's daughter is having a little bit of a problem with a pregnancy, so our thoughts and prayers go out to Sharon, her daughter, and their families. But it is great to have you with us, JD. And JD, you know, my heart goes out to the people of Louisiana. It's terrible, the flooding that is happening down there. I saw a very dramatic piece of video. You know, today, everywhere you go, everybody's got a video camera, a cell phone with a camera, or you're under some sort of surveillance. But there was a piece of video of a car that was flooded over by water. JD, you couldn't even see the top of this car. And this man took his knife, and because the car was had a convertible top, he cut into the top of this convertible and pulled a woman and her dog out of this car. I mean, just really dramatic video, the heroism of this man. But I feel so bad for the people of Louisiana. But where is Barack Obama? On another vacation playing golf. On another vacation playing golf. And where's the outcry? Where's the outcry coming from the media? That people in Louisiana are dying and losing their homes and losing everything that they own to this flooding, and Obama is playing golf. Where is the outrage from the media? Oh, I know why. I know why we're not hearing it, JD. Because George Bush is not in the White House.
That's exactly right. Hey, but my governor, Mike Pence, and Donald Trump went down there today.
Oh, by the way, they might have gone down there, JD, but they were told not to by the governor of Louisiana.
Oh, yeah. I said, don't do photo ops.
Yeah, don't make it a photo op. Meantime, Obama is playing golf. He couldn't even interrupt his vacation to go down to Louisiana. He couldn't even fly over it. Couldn't even fly over it like George Bush did. No. It's more important for him to play golf. Oh, where is Hillary Clinton? God knows where she's at. Probably nursing a migraine headache or something. I don't know. But she's nowhere to be found either. But Donald Trump and Mike Pence, they went down. And JD, tell us, pick it up from there.
Well, I'll tell you, they went down there and met with homeowners, went to church, met with, I think, Franklin Graham and Tony Perkins of Family Research Council. and they were well received. Local Baptist church volunteers gathered where they were feeding flood victims and cheered. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Trump," one woman screamed. I'm just reporting what Fox News put out. "We knew you would be here for us," another shouted. Mm-hmm. And the whole idea was to elevate the seriousness so that groups like Samaritan's Purse and the Family Research Council, we can start to focus on getting charity down there to help. But you got 100,000 people affected. 13 have died. And, now don't forget Hillary, though. She said her heart breaks for Louisiana. She posted on Facebook, I think, recently. But she also said if she visited that state, it would be a distraction.
Whoa. Stop. JD, stop. Repeat that one more time because I want everyone to hear this. What did Hillary Clinton say?
Well, her heart breaks for Louisiana. But if she visited the state amid all the damage going on, she goes, it would be a distraction.
Yet, after Katrina, Barack Obama went to criticize George Bush. The media criticized George Bush because he did a flyover of Louisiana and he did not land there. And what was George Bush's excuse? And that was he didn't want to cause a distraction. And the media thought, that is so horrible that the president of the United States could not visit these people to see how he could help, to see what they would need. How can he tell what they needed from just flying over? And George Bush said he didn't want to cause a distraction. And because of that, you had the wrath of the stupid media all over him. But I would like you to repeat one more time, JD, what Hillary Clinton said, why she couldn't go down to Louisiana.
Well, she said, amid the damage and ongoing relief efforts, she felt it would be a distraction if she went down there.
It would be a distraction.
Seemingly, that's not the way Trump and Pence viewed it. They went down there and received cheers, and they were there to help. They were there to record what's going on and to encourage people and tell the message. I mean, that's what you are. You're when you're commander-in-chief and you're president of the United States, you focus on every state. I mean, and this is the one that in the most anguish of all 50 states. This is the worst event to hit them since Katrina. And you tell people what's going on so that they can focus the relief effort. And but no, not Hillary and not Obama. You know what reminds me, though, of Obama? He did have a Louisiana disaster early on. You remember the BP oil disaster?
Yeah, and it was like 9 days before he said word one about it.
Oh, that's right.
It was 9 days before Barack Obama said word one about the BP oil disaster.
But he responded. Do you remember how he responded?
Help me out.
He sent teams and teams of lawyers down to New Orleans and Louisiana so they could start litigation process against BP. Meanwhile, you had foreign nations and their navies. You had our own U.S. Naval Department saying, "Hey, we got some ideas what we can do to cap this disaster as the oil is coming up on the beaches." But it took him 4 months.
Yeah, I'd like to know where that Kanye West guy is. Kanye West, after Katrina, said, George Bush doesn't care about black people. This is from Kanye West. Wonder what he's saying about Obama. Not giving a damn about what's going on in Louisiana. Where are you, Kanye? I mean, what about... And this is, again, what he said after Katrina, Kanye West. George Bush doesn't care about black people. But yet we hear nothing from Kanye West about Barack Obama spending his time on the golf course and eating in fancy restaurants where a steak dinner costs about $75, by the way. 13 people have died. 13 people have died in the recent Louisiana floods. Where is Barack Obama? Obama still has not returned from his vacation at Martha's Vineyard. And the White House said that Obama would spend the day golfing, while a White House spokesman said the president also spoke with FEMA administrator to get an update. A local paper has been one of the few voices to criticize Obama's response. But where is the other outrage? This is just disgusting, JD. And what's disgusting is the media is very silent on this. Where's the national media? No, places like Conservative Commandos and a little newspaper in Louisiana want to know where Barack Obama is, where Hillary Clinton is, or why is Hillary Clinton's excuse for not going down there okay, but it wasn't all right for George Bush to say the same thing in 2005. Go figure. I mean, the media disgusts me.
Hey, Rick, you know what reminds me of? We've had tornadoes in pretty badly in southern Indiana, and Mike Pence, he was on the scene. He flew down there with his helicopters and his teams, and you can just see what would happen with a Pence and Donald Trump presidency. Any natural disasters, they're going to be on the scene. They're going to gather all the information and have ways to keep things motivated and moving quickly. It's a precursor.
Yep. GD, let's watch what happens in November. Let's see how many people of Louisiana vote for Hillary Clinton. Let's see how many vote for Hillary Clinton. This woman who said, I don't want to go down there and cause a distraction. Let's see how many votes she gets. I bet she gets a whole lot. I'm serious. Because these idiots, there are idiots down in Louisiana, don't care that they're getting no response from Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton. They don't care. They just want their free stuff. And you give us our free stuff, Hillary, Barack, Harry Reid, whoever, you'll get our vote. Just give us our free stuff. We want our food stamps. We want our welfare. We want our Obama phones. We want our Section 8 housing. We don't care. We don't care. JD, you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with JD Muneer and Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network at WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, AM, FM 24/7. Today's show is being brought to you by the First Amendment and protected by the Second. That's until Hillary Clinton wants to abandon the First and Second Amendment. Well, JD and I'll be right back.
They say I'm nasty, but
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with J.D. Muneer and Rick Trader. And if you'd like to hear rebroadcasts of our shows, please refer to our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com. Or at noontime, log on to roarradio.net. At 9 p.m., highplainsdailynews.com. Or you can listen to our show from any telephone by calling 832-999-1199. JD, we have a great lineup of guests today joining us here on the Conservative Commandos. And Beth Ann Mumford, she's the Pennsylvania State Director for Americans for Prosperity. She spent her career learning how to educate the public, organize grassroots armies, and applying relentless grassroots pressures on wayward lawmakers. And she's joining us to talk about an initiative that Americans for Prosperity is doing in Pennsylvania. They're getting out and talking to their neighbors and making phone calls, letting them know about Katie McGinty, who's running for Senate against Pat Toomey, a Republican. And here on the Conservative Commandos, we believe it's important to let our listeners know not just about what's going on in the presidential races, but also House and Senate races as well. So Beth Ann Mumford will be joining us at 3:35.
You know, and I'm fortunate we got Rachel Alexander, senior editor at The Stream. This is at 4:05. And we're going to talk about her recent article with Sheriff Dave Clark up there in Milwaukee, talking about the riots. Mm-hmm. And his disdain, his absolute disgust with progressives up there and what it did to his department and all the rioting and looting that took place. I thought he made a tremendous speech earlier this week. I watched him on Hannity. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's a guy who has a lot of sense. You and I have watched him at CPAC a couple times.
Had him on here as a guest a couple of times. Yes,
yeah. So I'm excited, Rick. We're going to learn a lot with Rachel,
yep.
With some solutions. And, you know, Dave Clark has solutions. That's always excellent when you've got, you know, people who are whistleblowers, but they also know how to get things done. And then at 4:30, John Mock is a Christian attorney, and he's in Chicago. He's been practicing law for a number of decades, and we're going to talk about his suit defending Hand of Hope pregnancy resource centers in Raleigh, North Carolina. Rick, what happened there was they purchased earlier this year a parcel of property, and it's next door to an abortion center. And all of the city government, the staff at the city council, the zoning boards, all the groups said, "Yeah, this is fine. We're make this a go." But the city council denied it. And we're gonna. This is a tremendous man, Mr. John Mock, and he's been instrumental in fashioning legislation at the highest level. He's appeared before, I believe, House committees on behalf of Christian land use issues, and I think it's just a real privilege to get to talk with him at 4:35.
I agree, and apparently they wanted to put this Helping Hands Center near a Planned Parenthood. So, oh no, you can't do that. You can't give women choice. Oh no, can't give women choice as to where they want to go. The Helping Hand to find out how to raise a baby, or a Planned Parenthood to find out how to abort a baby. No, we don't want to give women choice. Oh. No, they don't want to give women choice to that. All right. Well, JD, we do have a great show lined up for our listeners today. JD, have you been following what's been going on with Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation? Have you seen that? Have you seen that the documentary Clinton Cash?
I've watched some of that. I'm not to its completion, but I'm well aware. And I'll tell you, I listened to our friend Frank Gaffney on radio earlier today talking about this. It's a tremendous, and we've got it on our website. Everybody's got to watch that video.
Yes.
It just lays it out.
Indeed, it does. Well, Hillary Clinton has apparently made some pronouncements about she will not accept donations, or will not allow the Clinton Foundation to accept donations from foreign governments if and when she's elected president. Wow.
Hey, and maybe corporations and Wall Street, through they're adjusting their donor policy if she wins. Bill may not even do any more speeches, he said.
Well, JD, isn't it an indication? Isn't it an indication that if she will not accept these donations, if she wins, that it has been wrong for her to accept them all along, especially when she was Secretary of State? Doesn't it indicate something is wrong here, JD? And has been wrong all along?
How about to the tune of $60 million they pocketed through pay-to-play while she was Secretary of State? Hefty stuff.
In my opinion, that's indictable stuff.
No question.
In my opinion.
And
for what that's worth.
She did release her taxes. Did you see? I guess. Yeah,
I saw she released her taxes, and her charitable donations was $1,042,000. $1 million of that went to the Clinton Foundation, okay, and $42,000 went to an organization, some sort of golfing organization, who had been donating money to the Clinton Foundation. So they were the only two places where the Clintons donated money, to the Clinton Foundation and to this golf organization that had been donating money to the Clinton Foundation. So where's the charity there, Hillary?
Well, doesn't the Clinton Foundation say that only 10% of the donations actually go to help with the charity? There's 90% overhead costs.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
So
see, JD, you got to finish watching. You got to finish watching that documentary, Clinton Cash. And it is up on our website. We invite everybody to check it out. Go to ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com, our website, and look for the link to the Clinton Cash documentary. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com, and look for the link to Clinton Cash. And JD, do not report back on the air with me next week until you've finished it. You got to watch this. Everybody needs to watch this, JD. Anybody needs to watch this everyone needs to watch this before they go to vote in November. That's for sure.
I will. I started it, and I will finish. And
all right.
Talk next week. Yes.
I mean, to me, it's just shocking. It's just shocking. JD, let's go to break now. And you are listening to Conservative Commandos radio show with J.D. Manier, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network at WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, AM, FM 24/7. Don't go away. On the other side, J.D. and I will be speaking with Beth Ann Mumford, the State Director for Americans for Prosperity in Pennsylvania. We'll be right back.
That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but
This is Rick Trader, host of the Conservative Commandos radio show.
And I'm John Forsyth, owner of WNJC Radio. Fellow Patriots, the Conservative Commandos radio show is for conservatives, about conservatives, and by conservatives.
We are patriots who want to take our country back from the likes of Barack Obama, Harry Reid, George Soros, and Nancy Pelosi.
But we can't keep up this fight without your critical support today. Can you help? Please go to www.helpccrs.com right now and make a donation by credit card or PayPal. That's www.helpccrs.com.
Our goal is to expose the liberal agenda and distortions.
We are fighting to spread the truth about political issues, political leaders, and conservative issues and values.
Our hosts are not paid. In fact, we buy our own airtime, studio time, and pay our own expenses.
We created the show because we are trying to make a difference. So can you help the CCRS expose the truth in 2014 and beyond? Go to www.helpccrs.com.
Help keep the Conservative Commandos radio show on the air by going to www.helpccrs.com and make a donation today to return our country to the conservative roots created by our founding fathers.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
I'm Pastor Christina Lamanier. I'm a concerned mother and grandmother, and I urge you to vote for Donald Trump. Our Commander-in-Chief's highest priority is to secure the safety and freedom of Americans of every race, creed, and color. Trump will solve the ISIS crisis quickly and utilize the talents of people like Mayor Rudy Giuliani to restore law and order in our streets. Donald Trump will build the wall, secure our borders, and bring back jobs and prosperity to America by slashing taxes, cutting government waste, stamping out political correctness, harnessing our abundant natural resources, unleashing the patriotism and genius of we the people. Always remember, there is a special place in heaven for followers of Jesus Christ.
For more information, log on to INRASuperPAC.com. INRA Super PAC paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or its committee.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired as I am about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard. From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet, we're coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with J.D. Manier and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, please check out our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com, or noontime, log on to roarradio.net at 9 p.m., highplainsdailynews.com, or you can hear our show any time of the day from your telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Our first guest today is Beth Ann Mumford. She's the Pennsylvania State Director for Americans for Prosperity. Beth Ann has spent her career learning how to educate the public, organize grassroots armies, and apply relentless grassroots pressure on wayward lawmakers. Boy, I love all that stuff. Beth Ann's childhood dreams of someday being a senator led her to work on Capitol Hill, where she learned a lot about politics and policy. And as a congressional staffer, in doing so, she started to discover that it would be more fun to hold politicians accountable than to be one herself. Beth Ann, welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show. Great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate what you do and that of the work of Americans for Prosperity. And in all fairness, I must say to our audience that I formerly worked for Americans for Prosperity as a contractor. Also, the idea for this radio show germinated at the Right Old Line Conference, which was sponsored by Americans for Prosperity. So I hold a great deal of affection for what you all do.
Well, I think you're doing exactly what it is that I love about the AFC model, which is empowering citizens to get involved and get engaged in this discussion and really taking this message out to other citizens, to communities, to neighborhoods, holding lawmakers accountable, really making sure that the people who care about economic freedom, the future of our country, feel like they've got the ability to be involved in the discussion. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you, Beth Ann. But, you know, talking about that, you discover it's more fun to hold politicians accountable than to be for one. We've asked you to come on today to talk about Katie McGinty. She's running for a Senate in Pennsylvania, and that Americans for Prosperity are contacting thousands of Pennsylvanians. In fact, 6,000 volunteers in one day worked to get out the message to their neighbors via telephone, via knocking on doors, and you have here in a press release about how Katie's policies will harm Pennsylvania families. Well, Beth Ann, how so, and how is she going to be hurting Pennsylvania families and families across the country if she's elected to the Senate?
Sure, absolutely. Her policies have already hurt Pennsylvania families, which is why we felt it was so important to make sure that we spend time bringing the facts of her policies to citizens across Pennsylvania. When she was Secretary of the Department of Environmental Protection, she pushed for Pennsylvania's alternative energy portfolio. Since 2004, when that mandate was passed, electricity prices for Pennsylvania households have risen 39%. So everybody in Pennsylvania today is paying the price of those energy mandates.
39%, like in what period of time is that, Beth Ann?
Since 2004 to today.
So it's about 12 years.
That increase. But that's not just the only thing. To get those alternative energy portfolio off the ground, the state also gave away a lot of money in subsidies, taxpayer-backed loans, trying to lure businesses to Pennsylvania. Those didn't take. So companies that received millions and millions of taxpayer dollars have since left Pennsylvania. They received those dollars to create the alternative energy, energy that Katie McGinty had advocated for. She used taxpayer dollars to lure them here, and then they have left. But we have been left with increased energy prices over time, as well as she's been advocating for other energy policies, which will do nothing but continue to drive up energy costs.
Well, Beth Ann, one of the miracles of Pennsylvania has been the drilling for shale oil. I think that finding the abundant gas in the Marcellus has been a real boom to Pennsylvania, and a lot of Pennsylvania farmers have had their farms saved because of drilling and fracking for energy in Pennsylvania. What does McGinty what does she say about fracking?
Well, you're absolutely right. The natural gas find in Pennsylvania has provided enormous economic opportunity in communities and towns that had been blighted by lack of economic opportunity. The natural gas industry has brought with it, in a lot of communities, jobs, not just in the industry itself, but for folks in the community, right? And small businesses that have popped up. People have been able to stay in their communities, raise their families. All of that has happened because of natural gas. Katie, when she was chief of staff for our current Governor Tom Wolf, advocated for a severance tax in addition to the taxes that the natural gas companies are already paying. So she advocated for $1 billion in new taxes on top of the natural gas industry, which long-term obviously would have impacted jobs, which would have impacted the price of natural gas, again, making the natural gas community less competitive in Pennsylvania. The legislature here saw the wisdom of making sure that government stayed out of the way for the industry to flourish, but Katie had advocated for ways for, to bring that industry to bear with additional taxes.
And Beth Ann, whenever these politicians, like right now, Hillary Clinton is running the ad, what she would do for the economy, and she says, I'm going to hit those big businesses with taxes. They're going to pay their fair share. But Beth Ann, what we need for the voter to understand is this. Big businesses, gas and oil corporations, they don't pay taxes. They collect taxes and pass them on to the federal government. Who do they collect? those taxes from? We, the consumer.
Absolutely. And when you look at the increased cost of energy, for example, my electric bill, because of additional taxes, I get to the end of the week, right? We all have to make decisions about what we have to pay and what's left over, and can we buy those school supplies, what's our grocery bill cost. The more that government, both at the federal and the state level, puts taxes on, quote-unquote big business, the more that takes out of our very own paycheck, and the less it leaves us with to direct on our own. So people like Katie McGinty, who advocate for more taxes, really are advocating for taking dollars out of your paycheck for issues and for ideas that she may think sounds good, but really it's the consumers who should be directing how those dollars are spent.
Hey, Beth Ann, we got to take a quick break. Could you hold on for us for just 2 minutes? We want to bring you back and continue this, because this is something that not just people in Pennsylvania need to hear about. People across the country need to hear this, because we here at Conservative Commandos are advocates for bringing the truth out about the people who want to control our lives from Washington, and Katie McGinty is one of them. So can you hold on for us, please?
Absolutely.
Well, you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with J.D. Manier and Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network at WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia, and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, AM, FM 24/7, and also people who are listening to us on 94.7 in Pittsburgh, as well as 1640 in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You need to pay attention. We're talking about the woman who wants to be your future Senator, Katie McGinty, how she's going to cost you money.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who were directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity, since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with J.D. Manier and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, check out our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com, or at noontime. Log on to rurradio.net at 9 p.m., highplainsdailynews.com. But you can hear our show any time of the day from your telephone by calling 832-999-1199. And here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest this segment is Beth Ann Mumford. She's the Pennsylvania State Director for Americans for Prosperity. And Americans for Prosperity is leading the charge in Pennsylvania to educate the voters of Pennsylvania about Katie McGinty, who wants to be their next senator. Beth Ann, thanks for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Sure, absolutely.
Beth Ann, Americans for Prosperity and their volunteers have made over 486,000 telephone calls and knocked on 21,000 doors since June to oppose Katie McGinty. What kind of response are you getting from those people you've been contacting?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick update. In fact, through today, it's been more than 35,000 doors. So we've had volunteers out every single day. That number will continue to go up. But what we have found with people, two things that we talk to people about. One is the risky energy policies that are just bad for Pennsylvania in terms of job losses, increased energy prices, and the impact on our overall personal budget when the things that we need cost so much more. The other thing that we talk to people about is the fact that the reason we think it's important that Katie McGinty be defeated is that if she went to Washington, D.C., she would be exactly the kind of politician that a lot of people are frustrated by. People who use their access to the levers of government for personal gain, for themselves and for their friends and special interests. And most of us don't have that kind of access. But often the bureaucrats and the politicians we send, whether it's into Harrisburg or Washington, D.C., use their roles to enrich themselves. And Katie certainly has a history of that. Many of the companies that she worked with when she was regulating them or had business before the state or who she steered taxpayer dollars to ended up hiring her for board seats and other other jobs when she left that position. So if you hate the idea of politicians using their connections with special interests and their access to the levers of government to help themselves and their friends at your expense, then you should definitely vote against Katie McGinty for U.S. Senate.
Well, Beth Ann, one of the companies, or when she was working for Governor Ed Rendell, she was the Secretary of the Environment for them. And after she left the Rendell administration, she went to work for a company, a Spanish company, a windmill company. And from what I have understood throughout the time, that wind energy has been a total disaster in Spain. So it's almost like, if it failed in Spain, it's certainly going to work here in the United States, right? I mean, is this the type of logic and reasoning that Katie McGinty has?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly right. She touted bringing the Spanish energy company into Pennsylvania. The company built manufacturing plants here after receiving millions of dollars from taxpayers. Today, all of those plants have shut down. Those promises of jobs never really materialized, and the jobs that did have since gone away. That particular company was never required to pay back the money they had taken from Pennsylvanians to build out these windmill energy systems. And McGinty ended up receiving a six-figure board seat from the parent company of the company that she had worked with while she was Secretary of Department of Environmental Protection here in Pennsylvania. So, if it's going to fail in Spain with all of the subsidies and opportunities that existed there, it's certainly going to not bear fruit in Pennsylvania, and that's exactly what we saw. But in the meantime, you take millions and millions of dollars out of the pockets of Pennsylvanians to pay companies to come here who ultimately fail. And it's a waste of taxpayer resources and just a real misuse of taxpayer funds. So that's the kind of decision making. That's certainly not what we need in the United States Senate.
You know, Beth Ann, a lot of people want to know why the Conservative Commandos radio show, you know, we're heard across the country on about 15 different stations and the internet and whatever. They wonder, well, why are they focusing on Katie McGinney? Why are they putting the spotlight on her? After all, she's running for Senate in Pennsylvania. But if she becomes a U.S. Senator, what she takes to Washington, in my way of thinking, is really scary. Like, she's been an advocate of this cap and trade scheme. And she wants to take that cap and trade scheme to Washington. And that affects all of us all around the country, not just in Pennsylvania. Beth Ann, tell our audience a little bit about this cap and trade scheme and how it can affect everyone in the United States.
Sure. So long story short, cap and trade it was proposed early in the Obama administration, which is basically a tax on energy companies. But if you're able to pay the tax, then you know, you can, it's sort of a limit on the amount of carbon that can be. But
again, a tax on energy companies is not a tax the energy companies are going to pay. That tax is passed on to the consumer every time you turn on a light, every time you turn on your TV.
Absolutely. And what that does is really basically will drive up the cost of everything. It's something of a complicated system with trading carbons and carbon credits, and you can only have so many unless you buy them from somebody else, or I sell them or trade them. But ultimately, it's a tax on energy. It failed. Congress was not willing to take it up. Keeping that check on Obama, he has since tried to put a lot of these things through just the administrative and regulatory process. And that's why it's so important to keep people like Katie McGinney out of the Senate, because the Senate was able to put a check on bad energy policy that would have lost jobs in Pennsylvania and across this country, that would have driven up energy costs across this country, and the cost of anything we buy that takes energy to produce, which is a lot of important things: food, clothing, school supplies. But it was Congress that said, no, we're not even going to consider this. We're going to make this really hard so that it can't happen. So if you want a check mark on bad energy policy, then Katie McGinney is probably the candidate for you. But if you want to stop bad energy policy, bad ideas, if you want to make sure that the Senate is able to block the kind of energy policies that are going to impact your daily budget, then you've got to vote against Katie McGinney for U.S. Senate.
Beth Ann Mumford, Pennsylvania State Director for Americans for Prosperity. We're going to have to get you back on. You know, I have a co-host, J.D. Manier, and I know J.D. has some questions for you that we won't have time to get to. Sorry about that, J.D. But I wanted to give Beth Ann, I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell our audience how they can work along with Americans for Prosperity to educate people in Pennsylvania and around the country about Katie McGinney and how dangerous and costly she would be for our country.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are on phones and at doors every day, basically. So if that's something you'd like to participate with us in, we've got field offices in King of Prussia, in the Harrisburg area, and then out west, and field directors who can work with you. You can contact us through our website at www.afppennsylvania.com. If that's not something that you're interested in, but you are interested in these issues, again, you can go to our website, our Facebook page, our Twitter feed, find this information and share it with people that you know in Pennsylvania, or with your friends and neighbors if you do live in Pennsylvania. The more that we can get out the message, the more that we can help people understand that we cannot have Katie McGinty in the U.S. Senate. It's bad for Pennsylvania and it's bad for the country. Then that's a message that we want to help other people deliver, as well as the work that we're doing in Pennsylvania to contact citizens every day to share her record.
You know, Beth Ann, as I mentioned in the beginning, I did some contract work for Americans for Prosperity. One of the things I did was I videotaped volunteers as they went out into the field to talk to their friends and neighbors. And what was interesting is their comments that at first they were a little afraid, they were a little bit apprehensive, but after they did it, they were amazed how much fun they had going out there and talking to their friends and neighbors.
Yes, absolutely. It's an opportunity to have really good conversations around these issues, and I think we find people who show up and volunteer every day. They're committed to making sure that we have free markets and we have individual liberty in this country. But even beyond that, they're committed to talking to other people in their community about these issues, especially about the record of Katie McGinty, but the work that we do, as well on issues and other things. So if this sounds like something that you're even remotely interested in, I would encourage you to contact us through the website. We can talk through different ways to volunteer. It doesn't take, if you just have 30 minutes to spend, that's great. If you have half a day, that's great too. And we find volunteers who come back over and over because they really do. It's very easy. They enjoy the process. And it's an opportunity to spend time with people who think like you think and who want the kind of future that you want.
Beth Ann Mumford, State Director of Pennsylvania Americans for Prosperity in Pennsylvania. Beth Ann, we've got time for you. Get a voucher website one more time.
www.afppennsylvania.com.
Beth Ann Mumford, like I said, we'll have to get you back on. Time ran like crazy. Always.
Sure, anytime.
And you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with J.D. Manier and Rick Trader, coming to you live from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network at WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, AM, FM 24/7. Don't go away. On the other side, JD is going to be speaking with Rachel Alexander. We'll be right back.
I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but
This is Rick Trader, host of the Conservative Commandos radio show.
And I'm John Forsyth, owner of WNJC Radio. Fellow patriots, the Conservative Commandos radio show is for conservatives, about conservatives, and by conservatives.
We are patriots who want to take our country back from the likes of Barack Obama, Harry Reid, George Soros, and Nancy Pelosi.
But we can't keep up this fight without your critical support today. Can you help? Please go to www.helpccrs.com right now and make a donation by credit card or PayPal. That's www.helpccrs.com.
Our goal is to expose the liberal agenda and distortions.
We are fighting to spread the truth about political issues, political leaders, and conservative issues and values.
Our hosts are not paid. In fact, we buy our own airtime, studio time, and pay our own expenses.
We created the show because we are trying to make a difference. So can you help the CCRS expose the truth in 2014 and beyond? Go to www.helpccrs.com.
Help keep the Conservative Commandos radio show on the air by going to www.helpccrs.com and make a donation today to return our country to the conservative roots created by our founding fathers.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
I'm Pastor Christina Lamanier. I'm a concerned mother and grandmother, and I urge you to vote for Donald Trump. Our Commander-in-Chief's highest priority is to secure the safety and freedom of Americans of every race, creed, and color. Trump will solve the ISIS crisis quickly and utilize the talents of people like Mayor Rudy Giuliani to restore law and order in our streets. Donald Trump will build the wall, secure our borders, and bring back jobs and prosperity to America by slashing taxes, cutting government waste, stamping out political correctness, harnessing our abundant natural resources, unleashing the patriotism and genius of we the people. Always remember, there is a special place in heaven for followers of Jesus Christ.
For more information, log on to INRASuperPAC.com. INRA Super PAC paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or its committee.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired, as I am, about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard. From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet, we're coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
This is J.D. Manier and your host, Rick Trader, coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with the American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, and AM, FM 24/7. You can log on and listen to the Conservative Commando Radio Show at noon with www.roarradio.net. And at 9 o'clock in the evening, highplaindailynews.com. You can listen to Conservative Commandos from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. Our next guest, Rachel Alexander, is a senior editor at The Stream. She's a political columnist and founder of Intellectual Conservatives. She's a recovering attorney and former Gun Magazine editor, and from 2014 to 2011, she was listed as one of the best 50 conservative columnists for right-wing news and has won other awards for her writing. She's appeared on several TV shows and made radio shows as a political commentator. Welcome to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show, Rachel.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I always like you guys.
Great having you back, too. I want to talk about your recent article on Sheriff David Clark, who's a black Democrat. He's slamming the left for the Milwaukee riot. Set the stage for this article.
Yeah, basically what happened is there was another police shooting of a black man, and it was actually a black police officer who shot the black man. And the black man was running away from the police, and he had a gun, a legally owned firearm, and the police told him to put it down. He didn't put it down, and so the black police officer shot him. And, you know, this is in Milwaukee, which is predominantly black, 40% black population. And so basically, you know, all these Black Lives Matter activists started rioting, and they caused a lot of property damage, you know, including burning a police car, burning down 6 businesses, injuring several police officers. I think 13 were injured because they were throwing rocks at them. And, you know, it basically affected black people, black businesses. I mean, so anyway, so Sheriff David Clark, as you know, he's a conservative Democrat, and he's been very outspoken about what the policies of the left have done in big cities like his, you know, Milwaukee County, where he's sheriff. And he came out with some really strong words for the Democrats who run the city, the complicit media, and, you know, how they create this firestorm that leads to these riots. And he says some pretty, like, if you were a white person, you couldn't get away with saying what he said. But he says things like, you know, black dysfunction and single mothers, fatherlessness has contributed to this. And basically he's gotten a lot of heat for it, but the guy won't back down, and he keeps getting reelected every couple years with the same margin of support.
Oh, I know it. We love him. We've had him on the show. But, you know, my grandfather lived in Milwaukee. I've been up there some and seen the rough neighborhoods. But I'm trying to figure out, what is their message? Is it that they demand cops be like London, where they can only carry bobby sticks, and they're going to continue to riot whenever they use lethal force, no matter what the circumstances or the crime? What is going on, do you think?
I think they look at the things like the high incarceration rate of black men, and that frustrates them. So whenever they can take a really emotionally charged incident, like where a black man is actually killed by law enforcement, that's how they can rally people, you know, to diminish the power of police to, you know, arrest and, you know, black men. And the problem is that's putting a Band-Aid on the problem. It's not fixing it. And the latest thing I heard is that Black Lives Matter is now trying to get funding to dismantle the police completely.
Whoa, repeat that again. Are they seeking government funds? What's going on there?
And basically I linked to it in my article. One of our other writers, Annika, she had an article, I think it was yesterday or the day before, on how they're doing that. And let me just pull it up as we're talking, and I'll tell you exactly where they're getting the money from and how they're doing it.
You know, they have been, you know, Sheriff David Clark is had it. He doesn't even call them Black Lives Matter. He calls them Black Lives Matter. And basically, I think he's absolutely right. They're not describing the truth. They're living in a world of a Saul Alinsky style world that just asks for anarchy.
Hey, JD, while Rachel's looking that up, I've been Googling a few things, and there was a Milwaukee City councilman that justified the riots as saying this was all a warning cry, and that to me is just, in my opinion, more fodder for the cannon. I think all this started with Barack Obama talking about the police, saying the police acted stupidly. In my opinion, that was the beginning of this. And now you got a Milwaukee City councilman justifying these riots. Then you had the mayor of Baltimore during the Baltimore riots last year that's saying let them do what they're going to do. I mean, come on. I mean, jeez. Rachel, you back with this shit?
And I just want to point out, I wrote an article called How Obama Created Black Lives Matter, because I think he deliberately gins it up instead of healing race relations like he could as commander-in-chief. He gins it up to get more support for Democrats.
Well, Rachel, you must have been listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show, because what I've been saying for the past some times, ever since this new rash of race riots has started, that we have a new epidemic of racism in this country. And I think that patient zero of this new epidemic was Barack Obama. He's the one who, as I mentioned, said the police acted stupidly. He's the one who said, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin. I mean, the one thing that I had hoped for when Barack Obama was elected, I thought, well, this might be the end of this racial separation in our country. Maybe he will be a healer to bring us together, but he has done just the opposite.
And the irony with the whole Trayvon Martin, if I had a son that looked like him, is, well, the father of this guy who was shot by police, he actually has come out, and I've put this in my column, and said it's his fault. You know, he said, I was in and out of prison doing drugs, acting as a pimp, and so I was a bad role model for my son. And so his son ended up with this huge criminal record doing the same types of things his dad was doing. So, this man is at least humble enough to admit it's his mistake. It's not the police's mistake.
Hey, JD, you want to take us to break?
Okay, yes. This has been really good with Rachel. I'm looking forward to more of this interview.
Rachel, can you stay with us for just 2 minutes?
Oh, sure. In fact, I'm finally pulling that article up.
All right. Well, Liz, you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with J.D. Menier and Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network at WNJC in Philly and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, AM, FM 24/7. Our guest this segment is Rachel Alexander, and she's talking about a column that she wrote about Sheriff David Clark, a black Democrat, slams the left for the Milwaukee riots. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity, since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
You can call the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
If you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, just check out our website, www.ccrsnetwork.com and www.ccrshow.com. Or at noontime, log on to www.auroraradio.net, and at 9 p.m., log on to highplainsdailynews.com. You can listen to Conservative Commandos from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. Well, our guest is Rachel Alexander, senior editor at The Stream. She's talking about the article on the race riots up in Milwaukee, and David Clark was so strong in this earlier in the week. We watched him on Hannity. Hey, Rachel, it just sounds like this is like a young Bill Ayers. It sounds like these leaders are who was such a friend of Obama early in his political career. But let you take off from that.
Yeah, I mean, some of these Black Lives Matter leaders are, absolutely violent, and they've got these, complicit politicians who are encouraging them and saying it's okay. Oh, it's just civil disobedience, where we have so much racism, and in reality, Sheriff Clark says that there is no police brutality. He says it's all just made up. And I did find that article I was looking for about how Black Lives Matter is getting money to dismantle the police. And basically it's a group called Movement Strategy Center. They coordinated $100 million in pledges from left-wing organizations to give to Black Lives Matter to do this. And it's the usual suspects: George Soros, Center for American Progress, Ford Foundation, Borealis Philanthropy. And if you read the Movement Strategy Center's mission statement, it says, we need to send the police home and start over. These institutions cannot be incrementally reformed. They need to be disarmed and disbanded. Community needs to take charge of community safety.
When they talk about the community in charge of community safety, boy, I would like to see that little piece of anarchy.
Yeah, I mean, who do they mean? Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton? Are these people going to have guns? Are they going to protect white people? Is it just, are they only going to protect their own? I mean, it does sound like anarchy.
Well, it seems to me, Rachel and JD, that when these things happen, the people that are hurt most are the people within that community. Remember Ferguson? The people of Ferguson were the ones that claimed it was not the people of Ferguson that was rioting. It was all the outsiders that was coming in from places like St. Louis.
And they were being paid to fly in and do all the rioting and protests. And, you probably remember, a lot of these businesses were black-run businesses that got burned down.
I saw your article and Sheriff Clark's statement. The Milwaukee riots should be the last time the policies of the liberal Democrats are held up as anything other than misery-inducing, divisive, exploitative, and racist manipulation of the urban populations. Hey, that's powerful stuff. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, he's calling it the way it is. And, he also said recently, I don't think this made it into my article, but he said that black people need to, at this point, just join the Republican Party and, move over because the Democrats aren't representing them. I'm surprised he's even still remained a Democrat, but if that's probably because to get elected in that county, you probably have to be a Democrat. I did look at his last election results in the general, and I don't think there was even a Republican candidate, so he won with something like 70% of the vote.
Hey, Rachel, I want to go back to the father of Sylville Smith, who was fatally shot. He made some apologies, and he really got right in. It was a tear-jerking, but you talk about that. That's in your article.
It is. And one other thing, too, I should point out. His sister said that her brother actually knew the police officer who shot him. They went to school together. So there doesn't seem to be, any racism there going on. But, yeah, I mean, if you look at what his father said, he said, being on the street, doing things of the street life, entertaining drug dealing and pimping, and they're looking at their dad like he's doing all these things. I got out of jail 2 months ago, but I've been going back and forth in jail, and they see those things. So I'd like to apologize to my kids because this is the role model they look up to. When they see the wrong role model, this is what you get.
I was looking, I think, on the website where you have this article, and it pointed out in LBJ in 1964, prior to the Great Society welfare programs that he implemented, 7% of America's black youth were raised without a father. And today, it's 73%. And this is the stuff that Sheriff Clark is pointing out, that there's a black cultural dysfunction, I think was the term he used. Talk about that.
Well, remember how Dan Quayle got in so much trouble like 20, 25 years ago when he did this cover article for The Atlantic, saying how, we shouldn't be glorifying single motherhood like that Murphy Brown show did on TV. And so it's just not politically correct anymore to even dare to come up and criticize single moms. And, these people really just need to stop because there's single dads out there who really should be with a mom as well. I'm married to a single dad, and we make it work because, the girls need a mother in their life, and their mother isn't in their life. And so he's got the guts to say it, and I will tell you, I was sharing with my Leading Women for Shared Parenting group Clark's remarks, and a couple people were kind of upset, and they're like, oh, we don't want to be associated with, bashing single mothers. We got to be careful. And Obama has this appointee who's like the head of fatherhood initiatives or something. And that guy actually retweeted my article and favorited it. Can you believe that?
That's amazing. Sheriff Clark went on to point out on Fox and Friends, one of the first stores that was looted there in Milwaukee, and when the rioting broke out last Saturday, it was a liquor store. And then I think that speaks volumes about what's going on with this group.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he calls them, vulture carcasses and, vultures feeding on carcasses. I mean, that's how he refers to Black Lives Matter. He contrasts them to ISIS. He's even come out and said Black Lives Matter needs to be eradicated from society.
Well, yeah, and they call pigs in a blanket, calling for killing of cops. It's just total. As I said, Bill Ayers, who was only 90 miles south of Milwaukee, is your Chicago. Obama's Chicago. But how do we get a handle on this? I just think I have the greatest respect for Sheriff Clark. He has the courage to tell the truth and call for civility. He's calling on the pastors in that community to get together. I've heard the mayor last week saying, moms and dads, tell your kids to get home by 10 o'clock. We've got to stop this. It's a serious problem. It's a serious problem. And, it goes back to Ferguson. It goes back to Trayvon Martin. It goes back to Professor Gates. Remember the Beer Garden Summit? But there's just always been a consistency here. Barack Obama has called it wrong each and every time.
There'll be a big change if we can get a different president in, because, if somebody like Trump gets in, he will know how to say the right things that bring people together. He will say, don't rush to judgment about this latest shooting. We don't know all the facts. The police haven't done their investigation. There hasn't been an autopsy report revealed. Wait till you see the police body cam video. And, that's another thing, that I think the police don't like it, but the more of them that wear body cams, the more we can prove these people wrong. Although I do have to say, my husband's brother is a police officer, and he says you just have to be careful how much you require the police to wear them, because sometimes it gets really absurd. You're having a personal conversation, you're going to the bathroom, there's got to be some reasonable limits at least.
Well, we need a law and order president, says Mr. Trump. How can we're come up against a hard break again, Rachel. It's too bad, but how can our listeners support you, gain more information, read your writing? Can you give us a website and contact information?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Stream.org is where I'm the editor at, and I write columns, several a week. And you just go to, at the top, I think it's under Other, and then Voices, and you'll see my name right there towards the top. And they can follow me on Facebook or Twitter. On Twitter, my Twitter username is Rach_IC.
Well, we sure thank you. God bless for coming on the show. Talking about a very testy subject, but something that needs to be illuminated out there as we are just up against law and disorder right now. And thank you again, Rachel. We look forward to having you back on our show.
Thanks. God bless. I appreciate it. Bye.
Well, this is J.D. Manier and your host, Rick Trader, coming to you live from the Concerted Commandos Radio Network studios. WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia. Around the world on the Internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio,